Good evening, Niner faithful. How are we doing? How are we feeling? We are getting closer to free agency every single day, and I cannot wait for it. Let's hit that intro. How are we doing tonight? I was trying to come on live, and then I was on a different show before this, and then I had to cook dinner, and then I was trying to convert this video that I wanted to bring up, this Jimmie Ward clip, but technical difficulty. So sorry, I'm a little later than normal, but I had to make dinner. You know how it is, and other things to take care of around the house. But we're here. We're finally here. We're getting closer to free agency. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. The legal tampering period, as we know, is Monday. Free agency starts pretty much Wednesday, where players can actually sign. And I think in the meantime, before that happens, the 49ers need to clear up some cap space. I think that's going to happen in the next couple of days. But we'll see what happens. How's everybody doing? Appreciate the support. What's good, everybody? I'm sorry I keep you guys waiting, but sometimes it's better to keep you waiting, get a little bit of a nice little fashionably late entrance. Although I'm sure there's some people that are pissed off, but hey, sorry to those that are a little upset. But life calls. But hey, 49ers free agency news. There's a lot of quarterback drama, as we know. Again, quarterback is still the big news of the day. We always want to talk about quarterback. There's been some other news out there today. So there was Jimmie Ward stuff. I really wanted to make sure we get that. I wanted to get that video, but maybe we'll play it on Instagram later. So it's basically Jimmie Ward's live stream. I posted a little bit part of it the other day, but he said a lot more in that, in the interview. And he reposted a picture yesterday that we posted on Twitter. And it was basically saying that, hey, 49ers, bring up, what did he say? Let me pull up what he said. Let's talk about Jimmie Ward, because there's a possibility that he could come back. He's never said that he didn't want to come back to the Niners. So he says, so there was a picture with the 49ers, and it was talking about their adjusted cap number. And he says, all right, 49ers, sharing is caring, and he's laughing. And it shows a picture of Parag and John Lynch with a lot of money in their hands. So it seems like he's open to the possibility of coming back. On that IG Live, which I wanted to post up, he said, I didn't say I'm leaving the Niners. He says, I've got to look at the best situation. So Jimmie Ward, it's not that he wants to leave the 49ers. Of course, he says he'd love to stay with the 49ers, but the price has to be right. I think that's what's the biggest issue. And, he was talking about the whole nickel situation, versus safety. He did say he wouldn't mind playing nickel, actually. He did say that he wouldn't mind playing the nickel. He just needs to make sure he's getting paid appropriately, and I think he's okay, right? Like I said, being on this team and being that versatile guy, I feel like he's looking for a certain number. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And if the 49ers come correct and give him that number, I think he was okay to play. He did mention it. I posted that video. That video is on my my YouTube, on one of my videos. I posted what he said on that Instagram Live, and he wasn't mad about playing nickel. It was more of the fact that he was mad that they didn't prepare him for that position early in the offseason. They were like, oh, we got some younger guys. We got Womack. We got Demo. They're going to play that nickel spot. So Jimmie, when he was thrown into the fire, obviously he got hurt. Deshaun Gibson was playing good. When he got thrown into the fire, he was like, I don't have any film out there. I don't have any good reps out there. I'm going to go out there look embarrassed. And then I'm a free agent. How am I supposed to show this tape to people? They're going to have bad tape on film. And I get where he's coming from the business standpoint, although he did figure it out, and he was a pretty solid nickel as, things kind of moved on. So I think it's just about money for Jimmie Ward. He sounds like he wants to make sure he's getting what he deserves, what he feels what he deserves, right? So, and again, he's been on this team for 9 years, and I think he's been through a lot on this team. Again, we've talked about this all week, how he's been a captain, he's been through adversity, And again, I want to go back to that quote. So this is a direct quote of what he said on Monday. He says, I didn't say I'm leaving the Niners. He says, I've been in contact with the Niners. I don't know how it's going to go. I could be playing nickel for the Niners next year. I don't know. We'll see. I've got to look at the best situation. So that's interesting. The way he says, I don't know how it's going to go. I could be playing nickel for the Niners next year. He did say he could be playing nickel next year. And, one thing he mentioned in that live stream was he just wants to make sure he gets what he deserves. And he goes, he could be on this team. He could be anywhere. It just really depends. And he said he is in contact with the team. He says he's going to go this Thursday, tomorrow, to the 49ers workout on, at Levi's or their training grounds. He's going to go work out at the team workout facility. And he says, maybe I'll go and talk to John and Kyle. So he is going to be in Santa Clara tomorrow. That's according to his Instagram Live on Monday. He says he'll be in there. He'll go work out, and maybe he'll talk to John and Kyle. So there is a possibility that Jimmie Ward could come back to the 49ers. Again, it's the money. So, Nathan, I agree. I think he was solid at nickel. I mean, he wasn't the greatest nickel. Obviously, we had K'Wan Williams, who was great. But as the season kind of folded apart, as it kind of went through, he was a pretty good nickel. I think, again, when he first was thrown in there, playing a new position. But it's going to be interesting. I think there is a realistic possibility that Jimmie Ward could come back. And I think at this point, it's 50-50. I think that the Niners, if Jimmie Ward doesn't get the market that he thinks he's going to get, if he's out there and he's not getting the scratch that he feels that he's going to get, maybe he'll come back to the Niners. He's been on the team for a long time. He loves the coaches. He loves the team. He loves the players. He knows he's a leader. So, and he loves the fans. He loves the fans. He loves you, boy. He loves me. And I think he'd come back. Maybe I should. That's why we got the nice designer shirt. You guys think I'm looking at like I'm going to the club tonight. Just got out of work. I have been out of work. I went straight to the live stream, made dinner, took care of stuff, helped my daughter out with things. I've been busy. So that's why I look like I'm dressed up for the Nines. But hey, Jimmie Ward, if I need to go out there and sweet talk him, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Still can't believe a captain lost his position due to injury. That is definitely a crazy point to make because, and I think that kind of, and maybe it did irritate him a little bit. I mean, I'd be a little irritated. He's a captain, but at the same time, it is a business, and you got to have your best players on the field. Tashaun Gipson, he was playing so good. You couldn't just take him out. You couldn't just take out Tashaun Gipson. He was playing so good. It's like you don't take him out. What are we gonna do? Hey, Jimmie, you think you could play nickel? So I think, again, what Jimmie was saying is if they would have prepared him better in the offseason, just in case, because this team does go through injuries, you never know. I think he would have been a little bit more receptive when it first started. But, man, Tashaun Gipson was playing good, but it is a captain that lost his position due to injury. So there is a lot of dynamics there. So I get it. If he was upset, justifiably so. Justifiably so. Mimi says, I think he wants more action playing the ball when he played nickel. I think he had more action playing the ball when he played nickel. Yeah, he was all over the field. He loves to just be that guy that can be covering, rushing, and roaming. I remember his live last year when he was talking about stuff. And one of the things he said, he goes, I just want to be a roamer, a free roamer. That's what he always mentions Tyrann Mathieu. If you ever listen to Jimmie Ward and see his lives and stuff, the guy he consistently brings up is the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. Like, he brings him up all the time. Listen to him. I'm telling you, he'll mention his name at least 3 times in his live videos, every time. So I feel like he models his game after Tyrann. And he said it before. He goes, I watch a lot of film of all the best players at that position, and I try to pick up pieces from everybody. That's what he said. He always says, I try to pick up pieces from all the best players. But he always mentions Tyrann Mathieu. He does. So Terrence says, he also says that Tart wants to play with whatever teams he signs with. Jaquaski, he did mention that. I don't know how much truth to that. Maybe it's just them being boys talking like, oh, yeah, if you sign with them, I'll go sign. Because those two are guys. They're boys. They've been boys since high school. So maybe it's just him and Tart shooting the shit and saying, hey, man, if you go to Houston, call up D'Amico and say I could come back or something. So you never know. I think definitely Tart would follow him. Those two guys are great friends since high school. They played ball together, and they've been on the Niners for a long time together. So let's see. Salvador says, hey, Roger, the recent rumors about teams contacting the 49ers about Aiyuk true? I haven't heard from anybody credible. This is the time of the season where people are going to say stuff, and everybody has sources. Everybody's got a per source. Everybody has a source. Listen, I know I got people I know in the know, but I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, you're a per source. Most of you guys probably won't believe me. So a lot of times people throw stuff to see if it sticks to the wall. I'm sure teams are calling the 49ers about every single player every single year. There's, the 49ers do their due diligence. I'm sure someone's called about Brandon. I'm sure they have. I can bet you at least one team has. But how true are these rumors that they're looking to trade him? He's one. And, people hear things. Again, it's like the game of telephone. You probably hear something. I'm sure someone that follows the Niners very closely has friends that work for the team. And maybe he heard something. Brandon Aiyuk. Oh, yeah. And then they tell it to somebody else, and they tell it to somebody else. And by the time Joe Schmo hears it, they're sitting there, and this rumor's like out of control. You know how that game works. Telephone, right? The same message that you had from the start is never the same 10 times later. The 10th person you told it to. Story always fluctuates. So how true are those rumors? Take it with a grain of salt. It's smoke season, right? It's smoke season. So I don't really think there's much to Brandon Aiyuk trade rumor. Again, everybody's going to – I guarantee you shit. If I'm a GM of a team, I'm going to call the 49ers and say, hey, would you guys trade BA? Would you guys trade? Of course there's probably teams calling him. Like, so who wouldn't want to call BA? But the 49ers, this is what they do when they hear the call. Hello, Brian Dable. Oh, hi, this is John Lynch. Brandon Aiyuk for a trade. They hang up. Oh, sorry, phone. And they hang up. We ain't trading them. Get out of here. Go. Oh, the phone's ringing again. Oh, that's Robert Salah. Hey, Robert. How you doing, Big Bob? Brandon Aiyuk. Click. Smoke season. So that's how much I think about these trades and these rumors. There's always rumors. Every single day there's a rumor. People make stuff up. They want to get clicks. They want to get traction on their page. And what better way to do it than make stuff up? You just make stuff up. Make stuff up. I wish I did. Sometimes I sit here, I'm like, man, I can get a lot of traction if I make something up. But I don't. It's not my game. It's not my game. He said I hung up on Salah. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. It's business, man. No, I love Salah, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's take a look at some stuff. So let's see if there's any questions out here. Smoke season, yeah, smoke season. Jesse Bates. So let's address the Jesse Bates situation. I love Jesse Bates. I think he's a phenomenal player, but he's going to get paid probably upwards up to $18 million, probably $16 to $18 million. And Jimmie Ward did talk about this. He says, look, okay, if the 49ers want to go and get an upgrade, a guy that's better than me, that's younger than me, and you go get Jesse Bates, who's a great player, it's $18 million you're committing to a safety. And I've said this so many times during the last week or so. I don't think they're going to commit that much money to a safety. They never prioritize secondary, in my opinion. Like every once in a while, they'll go make a move. And oh, wow. Like last year, Charvarius Ward, I've been screaming. I've been knocking my hands on the table to go get a big-time cornerback. And they finally did it last year. I don't think they make that move because $18 million you would pay Bates, you could probably get several free agents. You could probably get like 2 or 3 free agents for that price, right? That can help this team. And that's the way the 49ers do it. They like to solidify their team through cheaper players that can fill holes and be depth pieces, and they can rotate. That's the way the Niners do it. So I don't think they'll go and get one big splash. They might get a few smaller known players, or maybe not the superstar, but a couple of good players. Like last year, they went and got Charvarius Ward. They went and got Ray McLeod. They got George Odom. They got Oren Burks. They were all very important players to this team, but they weren't like, oh my God, they were like splash player. Although Charvarius Ward, I feel, was definitely a little splashy. He could swim around, probably like 7 foot deep, 8 foot deep. It wasn't 10, 12, 13. It wasn't like super deep water. It wasn't the ocean deep. It was probably like a 10-foot dive in the pool. You can take a diving board into there. That was a pretty decent splash, but it wasn't like blockbuster move. So, so I would love Bates though. I think he's great. I think he has good chemistry with this team already. He hung out with the team this off season. They were in Vegas together. Bates is great, man. I love him. I'd be hyped up. I'm not gonna lie to you. If they added him, I'd be sitting here, oh my God. But I think they won't, and I think they'll bring in a guy like Tashawn Gibson, maybe bring him back. or Jimmie Ward. And either way, if you get a veteran, you got to draft a guy. And my boy Raul has been patiently asking this question. He goes, trade up and get Sidney Brown, safety out of Illinois. He's a beast. He's a baller. If you're going to get a big-time safety, maybe that's the move. Maybe you go and get a safety in the draft. You bring back Tashawn Gibson and you let him mentor a guy. Like Sidney Brown's great. You'd have to trade up. So, again, you got to ask yourself this, though. Would you rather go get a premium safety, go trade up to get a safety, or would you rather trade up to get a right tackle? That's the way I'm looking at it. Because if I'm going to trade my picks up, and I would love to get a safety, but I think it's more important to solidify the trenches. Maybe you trade up to get Cody Mock. That's the guy I want. Right tackle galore. Ooh, you go get Cody Mock. We're cooking now. We are cooking with Cody Mock. That's a beautiful right tackle. The long, glorious hair, the gap in the teeth. He's a lineman. That's the guy I want. If I got a draft crush, Cody Mock. You trade up to get him. You get a right tackle. I'd rather have a right tackle than a safety. And I love safeties, but hey, you solidify the trenches, and then you go and bolster your D-line, and you get that help for Nick Bosa. You could take you don't need like a premium safety. You get pressure on the quarterbacks. That's going to help your secondary out. It's going to help them out. You go get a young safety that you could develop in the 5th round with Tashawn Gibson. You're golden, because the 49ers, look at what they do. They draft very good. They go get this talent in the 5th round. Talanoa Hufanga, he's a starting safety. He's an all-pro safety. 2nd year in the league, just passed. He was a 5th round pick. So you don't need to go get a big time. I love Sidney Brown. I think he's good. But I wouldn't want to go, blow my trade load, pause, on a safety when you can go get a 5th round safety. And the 49ers can go find a 5th round safety. You know it. Already did it 2 years ago with Talanoa Hufanga. They could get a 5th round safety. I would trade up and go get Cody Mock. Draft crush, Cody Mock. That's it. Do you want to know my draft crush is Cody Mock? That's my boy. That's my boy. My man Raul says, I like the BYU O-line guy, Freeland. Yeah, Freeland's good too. I mean, go get a tackle. That's bottom line. You go and trade up, whatever you like. Cody Mock, Freeland. Pick your poison. Pick your beautiful 2nd round offensive tackle. That's who you get. Let's go. So that's it. That's my move if I'm a GM, but maybe that's why I'm not a GM. Maybe says, can we talk about the Robbie Gould potentially bluffing? There's no bluff. There's no bluff. Everybody thinks like Matt Barrows. He was live. I know he was talking with Larry Krueger this weekend. He was on KMBR this weekend, and he was talking about it's a bluff. Robbie Gould's bluffing. Ain't no bluff. They didn't franchise tag him. Ain't no bluff. He's gone, man. He said his goodbyes. Adam Schefter said his time is gone. They could have franchise tagged. They ain't paying no kicker $5 billion. They're going to draft a kicker, and he's going to get paid a couple $100,000. And they're going to be young, and they're going to have a great kicker for a long time. It's time to develop a kicker. I love Robbie Gould. We can't hold him hostage anymore. This man has wanted to be close to home. He's a 40-year-old man, and he doesn't see his kids all season. He lives in a hotel room during the season. Let that man, let Robbie go home. He's not bluffing. He's signing a contract with somebody else. I love him. I love Robbie. Clutch kicker. I know he misses. He makes everything. He kicks in the playoffs. It's time for him to go. You know what? We need a young kicker. Pay him pennies on the dollar. Develop a kicker, and get a kicker that can hit some touchbacks. And maybe Kyle could be a little bit more aggressive. A kicker that can kick 50-yard field goals, 55-yard field goals. Just a little bit more aggressiveness. And I love Robbie, but it's time for let him go home. He's been trying to go home for a long time. Unlock the jail cell. Unlock the jail cell, and let Robbie go. I love Robbie, but it's time for him to let him go home, man. He's gonna retire in 2 years. So let him have his final 2 years close to his family. I don't think he's bluffing. There's no way. If Robbie Gould signs next week, I'll be shook. I'll be hyped, but I'll be shook. VZ says he better not go to the Rams. He's not going to the Rams. LA's just as far as the Bay. He wants to go to the Midwest. He's from Chicago. He's not going anywhere in the West Coast. If he does, I'm calling Robbie personally and say I took it personal. But also, I just don't think that they want to pay a kicker $5 million because we got a lot of players that we got to prioritize. I'd rather have a safety. I'd rather have a defensive end. I'd rather have a defensive lineman for $5 million than paying the kicker $5 million. And no disrespect to Robbie. He's a clutch kicker. And maybe in the playoffs, if we get down to it and we miss a game-winning field goal, I'll sit here and say, well, we should have paid Robbie Gould. But I'd rather pay Justin Houston $5 million to be a sack specialist to help Nick Bosa than Robbie Gould. Because if this offense is really good, and look at what this offense did last year when Brock Purdy came in. And if we have an offense that clicks like it did last year in the second half of the season, they were scoring 34 points. We didn't even need a field goal because we didn't even kick field goals. When Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback, we kicked a lot of field goals. We needed a kicker because that was our offense. Robbie Gould was our offense. We don't want to kick. We don't want to rely on field goal kickers. And I get it. He's clutching the playoffs, but we don't want to rely on field. If we're scoring 34 points, 37 points, who the hell cares who your kicker is? Until you get to the playoffs in a clutch situation. But what I'm saying is the kicker can get better. As you go get Jake Moody, that guy's clutch. That's the bottom line. You don't need to spend $5 million on a kicker who's going to sit on your bench, spitting sunflower seeds, waiting for his opportunity, but it doesn't get it if you're scoring 34 points. We want an offense that's going to score 34 points a game. So Alex says, do I see him going back to Chicago? 100%. I think he's definitely going to Chicago. The only other team I can see him going, maybe Minnesota, West Coast, Midwest, Green Bay, somewhere in that area, but he hates the Packers, Robbie Gould. Chicago's probably the destination. So my man John says, I love him too, man. We had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. We blew it. We had 2 opportunities to go to other Super Bowls and we could win it. Oh, man, don't even talk about it. All these woulda, shoulda, couldas. I want them to get over the hump, whatever it takes. So you've heard everybody, every content creator's talked about Lamar. If that's what it takes to get to the Super Bowl, go do it. Do whatever the 49ers need to do to get over the hump. They got to do it. They got to figure it out. I'm down for whatever makes them win the Super Bowl. I'm going to support anybody on this team at the end of the day. That's a good question from S. Flood. Why would Sean McVay come back to just go through a rebuild? Getting paid a lot of money, but it is an interesting situation. In LA, they're losing a lot of players. They can't pay their players. They got cap casualties. They don't have a lot of draft picks. Some players might be, they cut a lot. Stafford might retire here in a year or two. Who knows? It's an interesting situation. But if McVay can rebuild that team and bring them back to glory, then it's gonna be, oh, what a job by McVay. So, that's probably part of it. He might like the challenge of, can I rebuild a team? Because he's won the Super Bowl. Obviously, he paid for it, but maybe he's looking for the challenge. Salvador, mock draft soon. Yes, sir. We're coming up with one soon. I want to get through this free agency period first before I do a mock draft because I got to see what they do here, and then I'll be posting a mock draft shortly. Jordan says, how could we get Lamar? Very tricky. First off, they got to clear some contracts up. They got to restructure some deals. They might have to trade a player or two. Not 100% sure, but again, the other issue is if they were to get him because of the non-exclusive tag. We talked about this last night. They would have to give up 2 first-round picks. They don't have any right now, so they would have to wait till the draft, and then off of future draft picks. So that is kind of where that situation is. So it's not. Feezy says, is it getting realistic? It's not. It's really not realistic until things kind of come and go. If the Ravens are still having issues getting him extended, he's still on the tag, and the draft rolls around, and they're kind of like, I don't know if we're going to be able to extend him. And Lamar's starting to kind of threaten to hold out maybe. And maybe they will look into other teams that have the first-round picks. Because right now they're going to try to see if they can get a team, that's going to offer him a deal. And whether they want to match it or not, that's going to determine if, they're going to keep him. And then if it's, okay, we're going to let you have them, we need your first-round pick. So it really depends on the timeline. Because now it's waiting for, can they find a team that can give them 2 first-round picks right now, that they have a first-round picks available. If we get to that point where they don't, and then it's the draft season, the draft is here, then they're going to have to look at teams that have future draft picks. Miami, 49ers, teams that would look into a quarterback with future. So right now it's not too realistic because the 49ers don't have any first-round picks to give up. If it gets to the draft and they're still worried about Lamar not coming back to the Ravens, it might get more realistic at that point. So right now, there's no chance. You got to wait till the draft. So Raul says, ain't no way. Never say never, my boy. Did you ever think we were getting CMC? That's all I'm going to say. Jordan says, if we get him, it's over. It's over. It's over. Mimi says, kicking field goals in the middle of other teams' practice. Robbie's going to be missed. I love that guy. He is a savage. He is a savage. BZ says Kyle must be all in with Trey and Brock. I'm pretty sure they're all in with Brock. But again, his surgery really is going to dictate what's going to happen. What the hell's going to happen? His surgery's Friday. And hopefully we get the 6 to 7 month repair. But if it's longer than that, it's going to really change some plans, I feel. And will they be all in on Trey? I hope so. I feel like they haven't given him the vote of confidence yet. I just don't get that vibe. I've said that on a couple shows lately. That I just don't get the vibe that they're confident in Trey. And I get it. I feel like, he does have to prove himself. I know he does have to stay on the field. He hasn't been able to do that, but he might be all they have. And then a backup that they go and get in the next couple days or the next week or so. So it really depends on who that backup's going to be. And maybe that backup's going to push Trey to play better. He's going to compete with them. Or it could just be some measly chicken scratch backup. Who knows? But I'm sure the 49ers don't want to get a garbage backup, because if they have to go to that situation where if Trey gets hurt or Brock can't come back or Trey's not panning out or whatever the case is, they're going to have to get to that QB3. And you want to make sure that QB3 is good enough to come in and win games. So it's going to get interesting. And again, Friday's Brock Purdy surgery, and that's going to tell us a lot. It's going to tell us a lot. So Raul says, all I care is to get some help for Bosa. Yeah, 100%. Boogie with the hot take. What do you guys think? I like this comment. So let me know what you guys think. A Boogie says, call me crazy. Call me crazy. You guys might want to call him crazy. He'd rather trade for Jalen Ramsey than Lamar Jackson. What do you think about that? Lamar Jackson would be an elite quarterback. He's a MVP, former MVP. You got, but on the other hand, you got Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, Travis Ward, it pretty much guarantees that Emmanuel Mosley is not coming back. But you'd have two lockdown corners. I love Mosley, but he's coming off a torn ACL. You get an all-pro cornerback on one side, and then you go and get Travis Ward on the other. But would the Rams trade Jalen Ramsey to the 49ers? How realistic would it be to get Jalen Ramsey from the Rams? And do you think that a cornerback is more important than a quarterback? That's what it comes down to. I love Jalen. I think he's a great player. But would he be more important than Lamar Jackson, a quarterback, in the grand scheme of things? That's what you got to ask yourself. I don't know, man. I feel like Ramsey's kind of slowing down a little bit. I think he's a great player, but I don't know if he's slowing down a little bit. Still a great player, but he's not what he was. He's kind of entering that end of his prime years. Great player, though. But I'd probably take Lamar over Jalen. And I like Jalen. I know he's a Ram, and we make fun of him. We post the memes. But I think Jalen's a good cornerback. He's a good player. Ooh, Laura says, Lenore's better than Ramsey. Nathan says, Debo going to request a trade if we go Ramsey? I'd love to see those practices. Are you kidding me? That'd be funny. That would be funny. That's something to think of. You never know. Flood says Ramsey's not what he used to be. I think that's the general consensus. So let's switch gears a little bit. I want to switch gears because there's another guy we got to talk about. So we've talked about Jimmie Ward. Jimmie Ward, and we talked about him, and we know he might not come back, but there is a chance he's leaving the door open. He's not 100% out of the door. Let's talk about Mike McGlinchey. He kind of said his goodbyes today. I feel bad for the guy, man. Comments were ruthless, man. Like, I get it. I know a lot of people don't like Mike. I know a lot of people think he's not the greatest. I think, man, yeah, I feel bad for these comments. I hope he didn't read it. I hope he didn't read these comments. And if he comes back, fans, man, it's ruthless. So this is what he said. He was on KMBR today. I'm going to read all the quotes. You probably heard me read them already if you saw me earlier, but I'm going to read them again in case you haven't. So this is what he said today. He goes, it's been as fun for me as it's been for everybody else. My family and I are forever grateful for the faithful, the 49ers, the Yorks, John and Kyle, and everybody there. If this is it, then I just want to say thank you to everyone. And then he says, it's definitely a tough deal. We have a lot of great players in the 49ers organization, which is why we've been so good over the last 5 years. It makes it really hard to afford everybody. And says, I'm extremely fond of the time I've had here. I think the Niners are a first-class organization all the way. I couldn't be prouder of the time I've spent with the 49ers and the work we've put in. That's essentially him saying, goodbye. It probably is the end of the road, probably not going to come back. I get it. A lot of people have been critical of him, myself included. Definitely not the greatest pass protector, but he's a phenomenal run blocker. And, man, these comments were just, I don't know. I honestly just felt bad for the guy. I get it. People don't like the guy, but man, it was harsh. It was pretty harsh, man. That's tough, man. He really knows how the fans feel about him. He's a class act, though. Good dude. I mean, if we don't replace him with someone capable, we're gonna be pissed off that we lost Mike. So that's what you guys got to realize. The grass ain't always greener on the other side because we might have Colton McKivitz. Who knows? Colton McKivitz might be a GOAT. He might be great, but if he sucks, man, that right tackle spot's gonna be pretty crummy for a bit. So it's gonna be tough, man. My man Drew says McGlinchey run blocking for Fields will be lethal in Chicago. Pass blocking a different story. I definitely think he might go to Chicago. That's the team I think is going to spend some money, get a good right tackle, and their running is going to be crazy. So. Christy says, that's why I love Debo. He talks big shit after he roasts. He does. Debo don't hold back, man. Do you think that Nick could sweet talk Joey to come up north and give him some real help? I don't think right now. Obviously, he's got to be a free agent. But I think if there's a chance to get Joey next year, possibly, I think Nick's going to sweep. I think at that point, depending on how much money Joey wants, I think at that point he's made a lot of money. I think he'd be willing to come and play with Nick, man. I think eventually, maybe next year, because I think Joey Bosa is a free agent next year. If I'm not 100% sure, but if he is, I think he would try to play with his brother. It depends on how much money, they got to, obviously they got to make the cap work and stuff. But if there's an opportunity for Nick and Joey to play, I'm sure they would love to play on the same team. They trained this in the offseason in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They're with each other almost every day in the offseason. I bet they've had that conversation. I bet you they're like, oh man, wouldn't it be dope to play together on the same team? I'm sure they've talked about that since they were young bucks. So if there's an opportunity, I'm sure that they would do it. So. Steven Reynolds says, definitely take Brunskill over McKivitz. Yeah, I hope they bring back Brunskill. We got multiple free agents at right tackle or offensive line. We got Brendel, McKivitz, Brunskill. So one of those three guys is definitely at least one of them got to come back. So Maybe says, I'm not going to lie. I have our whole season on record. McGlinchey was clutch at times. When he got burned, it was brutal. Yeah, that's the thing. When he makes big mistakes, it's like glaring. You're like, oh, he got it cooked up. But he made some big-time plays. He made some big-time blocks. It's just the consistency wasn't there for a guy that was a top 10 pick. I think that's what people look at, and they're like, he just wasn't a top 10 pick. He just didn't live up to that draft type, and I get it. There's a lot of pressure for him to be he didn't have one Pro Bowl, he didn't have one All-Pro, like none of that stuff. And as a top 10 pick, that's kind of something you need to have, at this point in your career. He's been in the league for a while, 5 years, and no accolades really to show it. But he's been a great run blocker. But if you look at him across the league against other tackles, he doesn't have the accolades. But he's still going to be a top paid right tackle in the league. So it's funny because, people want offensive line help, and McGlinchey's going to command a high dollar, which is interesting because, okay, he doesn't have the accolades, but people are going to probably pay him $15-16 million a year. So it's interesting how that works because people will pay for offensive line. What players do you think we're going to re-sign? I don't know, man. This is going to be a weird offseason. I feel like we're going to lose a lot of players because they got so many young players that I think they want to step up and save some money because they've signed a lot of big players over the last year on extensions. Warner, Bosa, and Trent Williams, and Kittle, and Juice, and Debo, man, and now Bosa's got to get his money. So I don't know. I don't know if they can re-sign a lot of players. I'm sure there's players they want to. It just depends on the deals they're going to be, countered against. So, and teams are going to want Niner players. I'm sure they are. We lost last year DJ Jones. We lost Arden Key. We lost Lakin Thompson. We lost some good players. And I expect them to do the same this year. But they have a lot of young players. We lost we lost K'Wan Williams last year, too. We have some good young players. But right now it's a scary thought because last year, it was the same boat. We lost Lakin Tomlinson, and we were like, oh, my God. But Aaron Banks panned out. They lost DJ Jones. I think they put all their chips in on Javon Kinlaw, and it just didn't work out. So they're going to hit on some. They're going to miss on some. So it's going to be a crapshoot with a lot of the players they're going to try to replace. are free agents. But I do feel that the one guy that they are going to definitely bring back, oh man, I don't know. I don't even know if I could say a guarantee, but I really think they're going to try so hard to bring back Emmanuel Mosley. I think that's the guy they want to make sure that they can bring back. And Tashawn Gibson, too. I think John Lynch kind of hinted towards that. I think those are two guys I feel like they're really going to make sure they can bring back. Gibson said he wants to play. I think those are guys that we'll probably see back on the Niners after, free agency's all done. So, Mimi Banks, yeah, he was a beast, man. And I ate a lot of crow. Me and every other Niner fan, because a lot of people were salty on the Banks pick, and people were saying he was a bust. He didn't really play the first year, all the nonsense. And Banks was a beast, man. Good stuff. DJ and Arden, very heartbreaking. They were. But I'm glad that they did well on their respective clubs. Arden Key's a free agent again. Maybe we can bring him back. I wouldn't mind. I like Arden. He's a cool dude. Prediction for Rodgers. I mean, if he doesn't go to the Jets at this point, Jets, man, you're holding the biggest L of the offseason because they pissed off Carr by making him wait. And then if they don't get Rodgers, I mean, who are they going to up? You're stuck with Zach Wilson at this point. So I mean, I guess that Rodgers is going to the Jets, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. At this point, nobody knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Man, yeah, Terrence, he just playing with people. That guy's so weird, man. I don't get Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. People say he's a diva, and then Smitty, we talking, he's like, oh, no, he's not. He's misunderstood. He's a straight diva, man. You're 38, 39 years old. Is he like 39 years old? He's acting like a high school girl. Let's be honest. He's acting like a high school frat or a high school or a frat girl, or like a popular high school football player, like a high school jock. He's acting like a high schooler. I'm gonna be real with you. Aaron Rodgers, man. That's my take on it. He got a damn darkness retreat, says Terrence. He got a darkness retreat. Come on, man. Darkness retreat. Be for real, Aaron Rodgers. That is funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Any questions here? Let's open it up to you guys. Let's take a few questions here. We talked about Mike McGlinchey. I don't think he's coming back. The writing's on the wall. Jimmie Ward, 50-50. Maybe he'll come back. Quarterbacks, we don't know what the hell is going to happen with quarterbacks. We can sit here all day, all night, and talk about quarterbacks. That's what we all do in 49ers land. I'm tired of the quarterback drama. What else? Any other things? Any other comments, questions? What do you guys want to talk about? I'm sorry, Randy. A Boogie, the center. I think they got it. Oh, you know what? That's the other guy they'll bring back, Jake Brendel. I think they'll retain Jake Brendel. I think he comes back to the Niners. 2-year. I think they'll bring back Jake Brendel on a 2-year deal. But don't sleep on Nick Zakelj and Jason Poe. I think they're going to really try to develop those two guys this offseason and really come in and compete and be solid contributors to this team. But I think Jake Brendel will be your starter. But you don't sleep on Nick Zakelj. Because, again, that's what I'm saying is this team, people forget, they have a lot of young players that are going to step up and eventually be starters for this team. Nick Zakelj, Jason Poe, I see one of those two guys being a starter in the future. But Jake Brendel will be your starter. He was good, man. I like Jake Brendel. Honestly, and this is the thing. I was talking about this earlier on Aaron's show and 49er First Takes. The O-line isn't as bad as everybody thinks. You got Trent Williams as a dog, right? Aaron Banks, he was a beast, man. He's only going to get better. That was his first year he played in the NFL. His rookie season was a red shirt. It was a wash. Yet Spencer Burford. People forget about Spencer Burford. He started at a right guard as a rookie. He was a starter as a rookie. He had his ups and downs, but the guy's only going to get better. Those three guys are fucking dogs, man. Jake Brendel wasn't bad. He was actually a great pass protector. He's one of the top 5 in PFF. Although PFF, you take it with a grain of salt, but he was one of the top graded pass protecting centers in the league. Run blocking to be determined, that's something he can work on, but that's a strength of the Niners. He'll fix it. Jake Brendel wasn't bad. You got Spencer Burford, Aaron Banks, and those guys were dogs, man. And Trent Williams is a generational talent. He'll be good for another 2 years at least. They just got to figure out right tackle. Right tackle is the only issue. Right tackle is the issue you got to fix because Spencer Burford was good. He's going to be a starter. Or Aaron Banks was good. He's a starter. He's a third-year player in the league. Trent Williams, a dog. Right tackle. That's what you got to fix out. So when we talked about Jesse Bates, all these guys, they just got to make sure they get a good right tackle because McGlinchey's out. Okay? You can go hate on him on the comments all you want. Whatever. He's out. All right? Make him cry. That's disgusting. But whatever. That's besides the point. They just need to go get a right tackle. Trade up. If they're going to trade up for anybody in this draft, go trade up for a right tackle. And then you have a first-day starter, a dog at right tackle, and the rest of your line's already set. Their line is set. I don't think the line is as bad as everybody makes it out to be. So, yeah, Tommy, I agree. He does need to bulk up, but you got to remember that was his first year starting. His first year starting in the league. I think he'll get better. He'll bulk up. But I 100% agree. He does need to get better. But he wasn't bad. And I think that's a good line. If you have Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Cody Mock, Freeland, whoever you guys like at tackle in the draft, that's a squad. So, Frank Clark demands too much. He might be a little bit out of price range. Again, it depends on what the Niners are going to do with restructuring their contracts. Might need to restructure a little bit. So I would take Frank Clark. It would be weird to see him in the Niner jersey because of all the trash talk he said with the Niners. But but the problem with that is remember when they brought in Richard Sherman? People were sick. They were sick with him, but he turned into a great player for us. As long as they, at the end of the day, man, whoever they bring in that can help this team win a Super Bowl, I'm cool with them. That's it. At the end of the day, I just want to win a Super Bowl. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited. Let's hope we get some news here in the next couple of days. Free agency is getting kicked off on Monday with the new league year or the legal tampering period, and the new league year's on the 15th. We're a week away, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually a week away. Next Wednesday is gonna be a goddamn busy day. We're gonna be live all day. Just know that we're gonna be live all day. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I love y'all. I do want to say real quick, appreciate all the support. We're getting close to 10K subs. I know I took a little hit on YouTube a couple months ago when my page was lost and this and that, and it's been an uphill struggle trying to build this YouTube compared to my other platforms. But I truly appreciate you guys hopping on every night and coming in and interacting. The chat's been amazing. You guys are always very interactive, very respectful. So I want to say I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support on all platforms, and let's keep building. Let's keep growing the channel, man. Let's keep grinding. Let's keep making sure the page grows, so we can be on top of the boards, man. Just hit that like button. I appreciate you guys so much. So we'll have a lot to talk about next week, and I'll be here for all of it. I appreciate y'all. I love you, and have a good rest of your night. Am I going to go live on IG? I don't know. We'll see. I need to get some rest. I'm tired, but I appreciate y'all. Have a good night. I love y'all. Bang, bang. Not again. You guys are honestly the realest. I honestly believe you guys are the best. I see a lot of shows. I watch a lot of content creators, but you guys are the best. You guys are special. Just keep it up. Make sure you keep helping spread the word of this channel, man. I really do appreciate all the support. So that means a lot. I don't know if I tell you that enough, but we love y'all. Appreciate you.